Good evening. Welcome to the November 17th edition of the Downers Grove Village Council meeting. Unfortunately, due to the surge in COVID-19 cases, we have moved to a mostly remote arrangement for village meetings, including this one. In order to do our part to help facilitate the governor's stay-at-home order and be mindful of social distancing, we have most of the team operating remote by conference call. Participating by conference call tonight include Commissioners Marge Earl, Nicole Wallace, Leslie Sadowski-Fugit, Rich Cullivaney, and Kavanaugh Gray. Participating in council chambers with me this evening is Greg Jose, Mayor Pro Tem, David Fieldman, our village manager, Michael Baker, Deputy Village Manager, Enza Petrarca, our village attorney, and Megan Miles, our village clerk. In an effort to provide public input for this meeting, we solicited input prior to the meeting via email and our village e-remarks system. We'll do our best to answer those comments and get them into the record and answer any questions that come up through the course of the meeting. Copies of tonight's agenda, as well as links to all the documentation we have here, can be found on our website at downers.us, where in the lower left-hand corner you can find a link titled This Week's Meetings. Public comment will also be taken electronically. To submit a question or comment electronically, you can visit that same This Week's Meetings Village webpage and click on the green Submit Public Comment link anytime during our meeting. We will check periodically for new submissions. We'll make every effort to enter questions or comments received during the meeting into the record as well, and we have placed public comments at the end of the meeting. As is sometimes the case during regular meetings, we may have to get back to folks with additional information at a later date. These hybrid remote meetings, while different and a little awkward, are no less important. In fact, it's vitally important that the continued operation of our village during these troubled times and for the continued engagement of residents with their local government. As was our experience earlier in the year, tonight's meeting may seem a little dry or a little awkward, but I ask each of you watching at home or listening to stick it through to the end. It's your village, and your elected council wants to know what's going on and wants you to be part of our work. As always, we'll begin our meeting this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Megan, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jose?
Here.
Commissioner Earl?
Here.
Commissioner Wallace?
Here.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Here.
Commissioner Cullivaney?
Here.
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Mayor Burnett?
Here. One way or another, we're all engaged. Good evening, everybody. In order to minimize talking over each other on the conference call, as we did before, I'll be soliciting questions and comments from each individual council member one at a time. Is there a motion concerning conducting this meeting electronically?
Mayor, I move that the council conduct the November 17th, 2020 Village Council meeting electronically.
Second.
The motion to conduct this meeting electronically is made by Commissioner Jose and seconded by Commissioner Earl. Any questions or comments, Greg?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Marge?
No, Mayor.
Kavanaugh?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Rich?
No, Mayor.
Leslie?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Nicole?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Megan, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Cullivaney?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Mayor Burnett?
Aye. Thank you all. We are on the wire. Item 3 on our agenda tonight, Small Business Proclamation. Many of you remember Small Business Saturday was started in 2010 and officially co-sponsored by the United States Small Business Administration in 2011. This year we know small businesses need our support now more than ever as they navigate, retool, and pivot from the effects of the coronavirus pandemic. For many small businesses, particularly those in retail and hospitality, the last couple months of the year can literally make or break. Please join me in recognizing our small business community. Whereas November 28, 2020 is Small Business Saturday, a nationwide campaign to spur business for small merchants, and whereas the United States Small Business Administration recognizes there are over 30 million small businesses in the United States, representing 99% of all firms with paid employees, and responsible for over 65% of new jobs created over the last 20 years. And whereas the Village of Downers Grove celebrates our local small business community and the contributions they make to our local economy and community, and whereas the Village of Downers Grove supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our economy, and preserve and enhance our neighborhoods. Whereas small businesses are the heartbeat of our community and local economy and provide some of the greatest opportunities for independent, entrepreneur, minority, and immigrant business ownership. And whereas COVID-19 has rendered nearly 1 in 3 small businesses in the United States non-operational for some or most of this year, and appears likely to continue to burden our economic activity for some time to come. And whereas shopping at small, independently owned businesses demonstrates a commitment to making purchases that have a positive social, economic, and environmental impact. Now therefore I, Robert T. Barnett, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, do hereby proclaim Saturday, November 28, 2020, as Small Business Saturday in the Village of Downers Grove, and urge all citizens to support businesses and local merchants in Downers Grove and throughout the year. Dated this 17th day of November 2020, Downers Grove, Illinois. Item 4 on our agenda tonight are minutes of previous council meetings. Is there a motion concerning previous minutes?
Mayor, I move that the council adopt the minutes of the November 10, 2020 meeting as presented.
Second.
Motion to approve previous minutes is made by Commissioner Jose and seconded by Commissioner Earl. Are there any questions or comments? Greg?
No, Mayor.
Marge?
No, Mayor.
Kavanaugh?
No, Mayor.
Rich?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Leslie?
No, Mayor.
Nicole?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Megan, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Kolovany?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Mayor Barnett?
Aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you all. An agenda note. This takes us to item 5, which was previously public comments. I've moved that section to the end of the meeting to allow those watching at home or listening online the greatest possible opportunity to submit comments or questions as part of the meeting. Item 5 now then is our consent agenda. Is there a motion concerning the consent agenda?
Mayor, I move that the council adopt the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion to approve the consent agenda is made by Commissioner Jose and seconded by Commissioner Earl. Are there any questions or comments? Greg?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Marge?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Kavanaugh?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Rich?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Leslie?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Nicole?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Megan, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Kolovany?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Mayor Barnett?
Aye. That passes unanimously as well. Next item on our agenda tonight is our active agenda. This is a portion of our meeting where we plan to take some action on a subject previously discussed. Is there a motion concerning 5201 Highland?
Mayor, I move that the council adopt an ordinance authorizing a special use for approval of an additional theater within an existing building located at 5201 Highland Avenue as presented.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments on this item? Greg?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Marge?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Kavanaugh?
No, Mayor.
Rich?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Leslie?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Nicole?
No, Mayor, thank you.
I'll just remind everybody watching at home that those lack of comments are not from lack of interest or lack of paying attention, but this is often the case on items that we've discussed at previous meetings, and is certainly the case here. We're all pretty excited and wish the Tivoli Enterprises the best of luck. Megan, please call the roll.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray,
Aye.
Commissioner Kolovany,
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit,
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace,
Aye.
Mayor Burnett.
Aye. Passes unanimously. This takes us to the first reading portion of our meeting. This is the portion of our meeting where we begin discussion of subjects which likely will come for action at a later date. And with that, I'll pass it over to Manager Fieldman.
Thank you, Mayor Barnett. There are 3 items on tonight's first reading agenda and really 2 topics. One is amending certain traffic control provisions, and the next 2 items deal with the proposed FY21 budget. First item, item A, is an ordinance authorizing stop sign installations at locations on Prentice Drive between Springside and Woodward. This action is being considered based on a receipt of a resident request a few months ago. Essentially, there are 8 intersections along this stretch of Prentice that have no traffic controls. This ordinance would authorize placement of stop signs at all the intersections with the side streets stopping for traffic traveling along Prentice. Our Transportation and Parking Commission considered this ordinance at their October 22nd meeting and unanimously recommended approval of this action. I'd be happy to answer any questions the council may have on this item.
Thank you, Dave. Questions or comments from the council? Greg?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the resident who brought this forward and staff for taking quick action on it. I know, over the past several years, we've done a number of traffic studies and taken a lot of steps to put traffic control in intersections that didn't have them previously. I think this is another good step in that direction. I look forward to supporting it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Greg. Marge?
Yes, I support this, Mayor. Thank you.
Kavanaugh?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Rich?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank staff for the preparation and the Traffic and Parking Commission for taking a look at this and recommending it. I've been down that street occasionally while taking kids to Downers Grove South. There's a lot of traffic there, and I think this is totally appropriate. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Rich. Leslie?
Yep, just want to echo the thanks to staff and the Transportation and Parking Commission for such a quick turnaround, and to the resident for bringing this forward. So I plan on supporting it. Thanks.
Thank you. Nicole?
Just wanted to say thank you to everyone involved. This is not too far from where Commissioner Kolovany and I are, and this is definitely needed in that area. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just underscore the point that Dave made at the beginning, which is that this was generated by a resident. That's a pretty normal process, and there are forms available on our website. If you search traffic calming, you'll begin to walk down the path of getting us to pay attention to something you think is important. With that, we'll move on to the next item. Dave?
Thank you. Before we move on to the next item, I'll just pause to make sure that we didn't receive any questions or comments from the public regarding the traffic control provisions on item A.
We have not.
Thank you, Mike. The next 2 items in the first reading are really part of a larger discussion on the proposed FY21 budget. Item B is a motion estimating the 2020 aggregate tax levy for the Village of Downers Grove. And here, in keeping with tradition, is our multi-year presenter on this topic, our Deputy Manager, Mike Baker.
Thank you, Dave. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Tonight I will be providing some brief information related to the estimation of the village's tax levy for 2020. This information will look very similar to information that was presented last week as part of the budget presentation. We'll start out showing the breakdown of the property tax bill that shows the taxing bodies and the proportion of the tax bill that they make up. For the Village of Downers Grove, we represent under 10%, 9.92% of the typical tax bill in Downers Grove. The table on the screen reflects the 5 components of the village's property tax levy and shows how they are changing from the 2019 levy to this year's levy in 2021. As you can see, the increases are only reflected in the required contributions for the fire pension fund and for the police pension fund. For the remaining portions of the levy, we are recommending that they remain flat with no increase from the prior year. What this means for a typical property, in this case, one that has a market value of $350,000, the portion of the property tax bill paid to the Village of Downers Grove for next year, fiscal year 2021, is estimated at just over $705 compared to $653.80 in 2020, a difference of $51.65. Finally, I'll just break down the components of the levy that are shown in the staff report. We reflect a total levy amount of just over $26 million, but that includes a couple of key components. The abatement portion, of $4.3 million, reflects general obligation debt service payments, which are required to be shown on the property tax levy. However, what abatement means is that those will not actually flow through to the general property taxes that everybody pays, because we have other sources of revenue available to make those general obligation debt service payments. So that almost $4 million will be abated or removed from the total levy. The library portion of the levy, and a reminder that the library is a separate unit of government with its own board that makes decisions related to its levy, is $5.5 million. The special service area components represent about $354,000, which results in a total levy for, I'm sorry, that number should be 2020 and not 2019. The total 2020 levy of $15.8 million. And again, compared to the prior year, $14.6 million, which is an increase of $1.1 million. Again, that total increase is reflective of the required public safety pension contributions that are increasing from last year to this year. That concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Mike. Greg, you have any questions or comments on this?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Marge?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Kavanaugh?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Rich?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Leslie?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Nicole?
No, Mayor, thank you.
I'll just take a moment to remind everyone of two things that are important to remember. One, as an organization, we are an organization of people delivering services, and people that deliver services are not free. Residents should take a lot of comfort. It's never fun to talk about taxes, and that's not comfortable. But village property taxes are paying, I'm going to get the math wrong, somebody will correct me, but somewhere between 25 or 20 to 25 cents on the dollar of operating the village. That is a testament to years and years of management, councils before, mayors before, managers before, trying very hard to structure our organization in such a way that we get help paying for the services. At the end of the day, we do have to pay for them, though, and that's what this is a reflection of. I'll also remind everybody that when you see your tax bill, Mike showed it up there with that broken out dollar bill, and we've tried to show it every year for many, many years, but it's still important to remember. An awful lot of homes in Downers Grove have some pretty big tax bills, but if you take that times about 0.1, that's the part you're actually paying the village. And so for many, many homes in Downers Grove, many families in Downers Grove, you're receiving all the services the village provides: police protection, fire protection, public works, street maintenance, snow plowing, for in the neighborhood of $2 to $4 a day. It is a fantastic organization that I would argue provides great value to our residents, and I think that's important to remember anytime we're talking about tax levies. Moving on.
Thanks, Mayor. The next item is item C. It's the ordinance adopting the actual 2021 budget. The FY21 proposed budget was published in late October and was introduced at a village council meeting that same month. It was presented in some detail during a public hearing at last week's village council meeting. There will be multiple opportunities, including tonight, for discussion about the proposed budget, and is scheduled for adoption by this council in December. Tonight, again, is an opportunity for council and public discussion and questions. I will note that the FY21 proposed budget in its entirety is posted on the village website on the very front page. One click in, you'll get a nice summary, a two-page executive summary, and then about 9 pages of supporting information if you're interested in going through that document. Also, on tonight's meeting website that the mayor mentioned earlier, we post questions about the budget that we've received from the village council members, and we answer them online. Those have been, we did receive a few of those earlier this week, and we posted those questions along with their answers online. And with that, I'll be happy to entertain questions or comments from anybody on the council or anybody in the public who wishes to submit public comment using the remark system. Mayor?
Thanks, Dave. Greg, do you have anything?
I just want to thank staff for turning the answers around on the questions that have been submitted, and looking forward to continuing the conversation about the budget.
Thank you. Marge?
Yes, I just want to thank staff. This has been a heck of a hard year to do the budget, and they've done a wonderful job as usual, but it's just been so extremely hard to try to predict what revenues are going to look like next year, and I appreciate them doing such a fine job. So thank you very much.
Kavanaugh?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to piggyback or really follow up on a question that we had from a resident last week. Great question. I was really happy that he engaged, and it really centered around how do we kind of get out of this. And really, I think maybe the mayor mentioned or even Mike mentioned there's really no way you can kind of cut your way out of this. But there are a couple of things that I didn't mention last week, and it was simply that there are things that show up in the budget that aren't as obvious that, that our staff really should get credit for in terms of line items such as the grant funding that we go after, reimbursement. There's information that talks specifically about some of the cost efficiencies that have been added back into what we do as a result of how the village operates. And so we're walking into a difficult season, but our staff has done amazing work, and so I'm looking forward also to continuing to talk about the budget going forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Rich?
Echo what my colleagues say. In addition to that, I just want to add an editorial comment. It's useful to note that there's somewhat of a false narrative or understanding that as we add new developments that the village gets more money for that. So I think it's important for the residents to appreciate the fact that we set our budget around our priorities. We've been flat in our revenue and our levy for general operations other than the straight pass-through for pensions, and the impact that those new developments, new houses and things like that have, is actually reducing by some small amount on each particular property to the other people who paid the tax bills. But staff, you've done a great job. This is somewhat fluid. We will have some headcount questions that we're going to be working on, a possible concierge based on the Human Services Commission request, and then also a staff analyst. So we'll be looking at that very carefully as we move forward. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Leslie?
Yeah, just want to echo my thanks to staff for being so thorough but also flexible in this COVID time, especially as we bounce back and forth from in-person to virtual. I just really appreciate the level of detail and the way they keep everyone up to date as best as possible in changing times. So thanks again.
Nicole?
Thank you, staff. You guys are amazing. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. I won't repeat my colleagues, but just second their sentiments. I did get a couple of additional questions emailed to me. Shoot those over to Mike, ask you before the end of the meeting to get those into the record just to make sure we have them, and we will get those answered soon as well. So I don't think we've got anything else unless anything else has come in.
No further remarks, questions, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
And that ends our first reading tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Not off the hook, Dave. I ask if you have a report.
I do not have a report tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Enza, attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 items tonight to present. The first is an ordinance amending certain traffic and parking provisions, and the second is an ordinance adopting the fiscal year 2021 budget in lieu of passage of an appropriation ordinance. Both will be on the next acquisition.
Thank you. This is item 10 now, which is where we put public comments for tonight. Any other public comments that might have come in? Okay, would you make sure those two get in the record for tonight? And then we'll move on. So, mayor and council member reports. It's the portion of our meeting where council members have an opportunity to report out on things going on in the community, other groups they're involved in, things that they think we should all be knowing about or making our community aware of. And so we'll just continue in order. Greg, you have anything?
Thank you, Mayor. As folks might have heard, the state of Illinois is moving backward to Tier 3 in terms of COVID mitigation, effective on Friday. We were told from the beginning by Governor Pritzker that we might end up heading backwards, and yet it's still an incredibly difficult thing. But we have seen infections and hospitalizations skyrocket, not just here in Illinois, but across the country. We need to continue to take personal responsibility. We all have to take action to protect ourselves, protect our families, our friends, our coworkers. We need you to wear your mask, keep your distance, and wash your hands. There are three fairly simple things that all of us can engage in, and it will go a long way in ending up lifting these restrictions. Along the way, please, as the mayor's proclamation noted, remember the businesses in our community. It seems that with the gridlock in Washington, there's really no stimulus coming, at least in the foreseeable future. And these aren't just our business owners. Many of them are residents, their family, their friends, and they're struggling, just like a lot of people out there. So when you're doing your holiday shopping, Thanksgiving shopping, whatever it might be, or if you think you're tired of cooking and you want to go out to dinner, pick a business here in Downers. They need your help. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Greg. Marge, did you have anything for us tonight?
Just wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving. If you're going to be getting takeout, please think of Downers Grove first. Downers Grove restaurants are really struggling right now with the way things are with the COVID. If you're going to do any Christmas shopping or holiday shopping, please think Downers Grove first. If you can get it here, everyone would really appreciate your business and your tax dollars staying here in Downers Grove. Every dollar you spend here just comes back around and keeps all of our taxes lower. So happy and safe Thanksgiving to everyone. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Marge. Kavanaugh?
Great. Thank you, Mayor. This message may sound a little familiar. I think it's along the lines of one of the first messages that I personally spoke on when we were in the same position back in March. And what's different now is that it feels it's morphed and it's different, but familiar. And I think we have entered into what feels like the perfect storm of this global pandemic. And so with that, I think that collectively we are kind of dealing with the personal health effects. We're dealing with the loss of individuals that we knew. People are tired. Individuals are dealing with the loss of employment, which in itself would have been a big enough obstacle or something to process and deal with. There are record number of evictions. Basic household needs the prices have gone up, and people are as much in need now as they were when we started this process back in March. And the other thing I've noticed is that we're seeing a lot more need for social services along the lines of individuals dealing with stress, social anxieties, and depression have shot up. And so as we go into this holiday season where many of us won't be able to be around family members or friends, I would just ask that we continue to be safe as possible, that we try and check on someone that might be in need, that might need our help, that might be struggling. And lastly, even in the midst of all of this, just wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope that you enjoy yourselves. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Kavanaugh. Rich?
Yes, Mayor, I have two comments. I'm not going to mirror what my colleagues have said, but I wanted to put a little bit different perspective in the way I've been looking at it, because we've heard a lot about the three W's. So the different frame of thinking that I've kind of entered into my life is now I feel like every surface I touch has COVID on it, and that before I leave the house, that I could very well be carrying this disease, and the possibility of me coughing on someone, sneezing, or even breathing near them. And to me, it's just more intensified the possibility, and it's just forced me to do the things I'm supposed to be doing in a more meaningful way. Secondly, I just wanted to mention the passing of Jim Meisner, who was a beloved teacher and coach for literally decades at Downers Grove South this week. It was in my recent endeavors, I was canvassing in his neighborhood, knocked on his door. Even though he wasn't one of my teachers, he remembered me, and then he started reciting baseball players that played for him by name from the class of 1970, like it were yesterday. So it's an amazing man that can go decades and still remember people that were on his team so many years later. So Downers Grove has lost a real gem. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Rich. Leslie?
Yes, just echoing all of my colleagues' sentiments to just please listen to public health experts, wash your hands, wear your mask, social distance. Please don't hold large Thanksgiving guests. You may know not that we don't have any family close by, so this will be the first year that the three of us in my family will have a small holiday season with Thanksgiving, my daughter's birthday, and Christmas, all just the three of us. We are sad, and we will miss our family, and so I empathize with others who are going through the same thing. But it's just important that we try and get through this season. We do have some hope on the horizon with some promising vaccines. So for now, let's just be thankful for each other. I'm thankful for good health, the family that I do have here, and this wonderful community who has reached out and welcomed us with open arms, knowing that we don't have anyone in the area. So this season, just make sure to let those around you know you appreciate them, continue to take care of each other and your neighbors, and support our local businesses who are struggling if you're able, and have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Leslie. Nicole?
Thank you, Mayor. Quick important update from the Bonfield Express 5K. There will be no Bonfield in-person race shirt pickup. Race shirts are going to be mailed out to anyone who registered by that October 5th date. This action is obviously being taken due to the rising rates of COVID and out of an abundance of caution for the participants and for the Bonfield Express volunteers. So if you registered by that October 5th date, look in your mailbox, because that is where your race shirt will be. And then just wanted to echo the sentiments of my colleagues. Please continue to stay safe. Please continue to listen to health experts. Find time to stop and thank the people who are making a difference in our lives every day. If you know a healthcare worker, if you know an educator, anybody that is really working their tails off right now, a first responder, there are so many people that are working so incredibly hard to make this situation just a little bit better for us all. And please look for opportunities to help in our community, whether that is making a monetary donation to an organization, helping a local business, or eating at one of our local restaurants. Everybody needs help, and if you're able, even the smallest amount is appreciated during this time. So happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, and look forward to seeing everyone in December. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm just going to add a few comments here as well. One of the things you've heard from my colleagues tonight, and all of them over and over through the months, are refrains and references to community. That's what we are. That's what we're here for. We need to remember to be here for each other. This is our last meeting prior to Thanksgiving, and in the grand scheme of things, next Thursday is just one day. Now, I don't want to diminish the importance of time with relatives or the value of family traditions, But I know if we take the time to focus on being thankful rather than any particular thing or any particular event, we can adjust our plans during this pandemic and still have a moving and memorable time. As Leslie indicated, many of us will be adjusting our plans. My family usually travels for Thanksgiving as well, and we're not. That's a drag. There's no two ways about it. It's the opposite of fun. But it's the right thing to do, because one thing that we all do know is that COVID-19 is highly transmittable. Risk of transmission goes up when we widen our social circles. So please stay home. Don't travel. Be mindful of your bubble. Consider reallocating those travel resources if you can. You've heard it mentioned several times tonight about buying Thanksgiving meals from local restaurants. Consider doing that. Or two, deliver one to a neighbor. Give yourself a break from the kitchen, help a local business at the same time. Or spend the day with your family putting together a package for one of our local food pantries, such as fish. This time of year, particularly as the weather changes and the holidays come upon us, their burdens grow. They've been immense throughout the year. They're going to do nothing but get bigger. Or even just simply take a walk around your neighborhood and drop off a treat for neighbors on the porch. Whether you're afraid of COVID or not, whether you think it's overblown or politicized, I want to ask you all to think beyond COVID for just a minute. If you had the flu with chills and fever or were throwing up all day, would you subject your relatives to coughing, sneezing, or hurling cooties? Probably not. We've all made such choices in the past. We've all decided to skip something because we didn't want to give what we had or what our kid had to somebody else or somebody else's kids. It's the same kind of decision. COVID-19 is sinister. It can be transmitted by asymptomatic people, and it affects different people in different ways, some severe, some barely at all. But for every person who didn't even know they had it, there literally is another one struggling to survive. We will get past this. One of my colleagues mentioned vaccines on the horizon. The governor mentioned vaccines on the horizon. They're coming, but they're not here now. And in the meantime, we still have to think of each other. So whether it's family gatherings or turkey bowls or Bonfield runs, Thanksgiving this year has an opportunity to be different. We can make different choices that benefit others. But as my colleagues also alluded to, I'd suggest that recognizing the abundant blessings we have while thinking of others first could just be the ultimate way to be thankful, the ultimate expression of thankfulness. Be safe, remember the 3 W's, make good choices. We're not going to stop pounding that message home because it's important. But I think Thanksgiving this year can be every bit as special as it's been in the past, even though it may be different. So I wish you all a safe Thanksgiving and ask for a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Megan, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Colavani?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Mayor Barnett?
Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned. Good night, everyone.